Hello, hope you're doing well. There's been a lot of talk recently about NFTs on BitShares. NFTs have been a really popular thing lately, as you can see them in mainstream news. With as much talk that has been going on, there's been some pretty cool developments that have happened in the past week. So Bit20 Creative Group has been really hard at work, especially over this last weekend and over these last couple of days, putting a couple of polishing things on two things that I'd like to show you today. The first thing I'd like to show you guys is a draft spec for NFTs on BitShares. Now, this isn't meant to be the end all. This is meant to be the start. This is meant for the community to add in and fix and improve upon what we've started. There just needed to be a starting block, and we felt like we should do that. It has been said many times in the Telegram group that we need to start getting a spec down, and this is something that we've been hard at work developing, and we feel like it's a great start, and we would love community input on it to get it to the place where it needs to be. The second thing that I'd like to show you is a proof of concept NFT viewer of some testnet assets that the Bit20 Creative Group has put up there. And you can use the website as soon as you hear me talk about it. The link is in the description below, and you can visit it right now if you'd like while the video is still playing. Now, these things are meant to be drafts. They're not meant to be end-alls. They're purely proof of concept that the idea is viable and possible to do on BitShares in a relatively easy manner. Now, the Bit20 Creative Group does have a few more tools and things coming out, but we do want to put a few more polishing touches on them before we release them to the public. But we do have some tools that will help in the creation of these NFTs. One of the really cool things that I want to emphasize right out of the gate is that a lot of other NFTs are just links to the actual artwork. But what we've done here with this proposed spec is actually include the artwork inside of the asset. So there's no linking to the asset. The asset that you own is the artwork itself. Let's turn around to the computer and take a look at what we got. So in the first paragraph here, what follows is a draft proposed specification for standardizing or regularizing non-fungible tokens on the BitShares blockchain and similar blockchains. It is a work in progress, and comments and suggestions are welcomed and encouraged. So that's what I said at the beginning, is that this specifically is supposed to be something that's for the community to start and continue to grow. So the first thing is that it's a singular or very small issuance. The asset precision should be 0. The asset should have a max supply of 1 or a very small limited number. So that just actually puts scarcity on it, a very tangible scarcity versus issuing 1 million of an NFT. Then it kind of just loses what it is at that point. The next thing is immutability. So BitShares allows you to turn off the ability to increase a max supply of an asset. So that permission needs to be turned off. Otherwise, that leaves potential buyers in a risk area. So that needs to be turned off so the max issuance cannot go up. The next section here is the descriptions. So important metadata that uniquely identifies the digital entity encapsulated by the NFT is stored in the asset description field. So that's what I'll go over next here, but what we're trying to do here is the entirety of the NFT is encapsulated inside of that description field, or it's enclosed inside of it. At present, there's no disavowable asset permission, or there's no permission that says once we set the description, it can't be changed. There's currently no option for that. But in order to get around that limitation, what you can do is transfer the ownership to null account, which in effect allows no one to further be able to ever edit that asset. The next thing here is asset description language. So the asset description field can accommodate arbitrary text. That means you can put whatever you'd like in there. And that's where we want to start to get a base foundation for how we set these things up. So the first section here just describes how it has happened up until this point and how assets and their descriptions have been. But when we look here, when we want to create an NFT, we can add a couple of fields to this JSON blob: NFT object and NFT signature. The NFT object is a JSON object containing NFT content and attributes in a format and containing fields as described below. So this is how the actual art itself gets put onto the blockchain. And the NFT signature is a well-known public key of the artist, and how we've experimented with it to start was someone signing the entire NFT object with their memo key in BitShares, and that's proven to work, but this is adapting to more types of signatures to allow for more types of encryption and different things of that nature. The NFT object shall be represented as a canonicalized JSON blob containing all of the required fields and some combination of the optional fields described below. So the NFT object needs to be formatted in a standardized way, and this is our first attempt at it, and we are completely open for feedback, additions, things like that. But this way we can start building off of this, and then we can build more complex systems off of it once we get these base things down. So the NFT object, the required keys here, the first one here is type. The one we started off with was NFT art. Next thing here is the title, obviously the title of the work. So here we have artist, and this is where the artist's name or the pseudonym or whoever wants to, however they want to identify themselves. The attestation here is a very differentiating component to the BitShares NFTs compared to other things. Here, the artist commits or dedicates the artwork to the blockchain, expressly naming the token name or ID under which the work will live, and attests to its uniqueness. What makes this different is that an artist can say themselves that this is a one of one and no further issuance of this NFT is valid, or no other issuance of this work of art is valid. Or they can even say they reserve the right to do a reissuance or like a second issuance. So this allows for flexibility in the NFT paradigm itself, whereas an artist can reserve the right to make more renditions down the road, or they can revoke that right to themselves initially out of the gate when creating it. The next thing is the encoding. Base 64 works really well. Here we have the narrative, a personal statement from the artist describing the work, such as what the work means to them or what inspired it. You can include as much as you want or as little as you want. I wouldn't recommend too much, but you don't have to put anything if you don't want to. You could also put information about the image itself. Media item keys. So one of the following keys must be included to embed the media item if the value of the type is NFT art. So what that's saying is there needs to be a key in the NFT object that is either image underscore PNG, image underscore GIF, image underscore JPEG, and then it can also be these multi-hashes here. And for the discussion here, the discussion should occur inside of the issues here on GitHub. That way they are all organized. And I will make sure to link that down below for you guys. And here it is. Right now, obviously there aren't any issues because you guys haven't seen it yet. So yeah. All right, so the last thing that I want to show you is a proof of concept NFT viewer that I've called Artomatic. Now, it might not be impressive visually, but what it does show is that it is possible to have NFTs baked into assets on the BitShares blockchain. So let's take a look here. Okay, now that I'm recording my screen, circles. So the first thing here, got the title up here, nothing fancy. The first NFT, what I'd like to point out is just a couple of things of what we're looking at here. So this thing right at the top, right there, that's the actual asset symbol. So that's what you would look up on the blockchain if you were to look up this asset. The thing right below it here, that's the title. That's baked into the description like we went over in the spec. Below that, that's the artist here, Mr. Christopher Sanborn. No current owner. Now, this will need some work as this currently shows us either it hasn't been issued or someone burned the asset. So there's a little, further clarification that we can do and that we can figure out as a community together as well. So the thing below that, that's the narrative. So that would be what the artist chooses or chooses not to say about a piece of art. And then down here, you have your signature. So obviously, these were our testnet things. These were things we were starting out with. So we specifically, Chris did, this isn't an official signature. And then below that, that's the attestation. So these things here show what it could look like using the spec as it is currently. These are all PNG images, but it is possible, like you saw in the spec, to do other different things. Now, like I said, this is a proof of concept. It's not beautiful by any means because we have overflowing text and stuff here, so it's not perfect, but yeah, it's a proof of concept is the main thing. So another thing I want to point out is that these make offer buttons do work. So if you were to click on it, it'll load up the wallet here, and it'll pull up the asset and then the asset that it's selling for. One thing to note is that you do need to have the testnet set as your node in wallet.bitshares.org. Otherwise, it's going to say asset not found because this is a testnet asset. So in closing, I want to remind everyone that this is a starting block. This is not meant to be the end of discussion. This is meant to get the community started on something solid that we can all improve on. Make sure you join the Telegram groups. I'm going to link a couple of BitShares Telegram groups for you to join down below. Also, I am putting a link to the spec that we went over in this video in the description as well. And don't forget that you can actually go view the testnet NFTs that we've put up right now in the link provided below as well. So thanks for watching.